Hello all and welcome to this hands-on lab. In our lab today, we will discuss about Amazon Keyspaces and learn about point-in-time recovery. Before we continue further ahead, a couple of things to keep in mind. AWS services used in this lab can incur charges. Hence, ensure that you clean up all resources after completing this lab. Prerequisites for this particular lab is knowledge of Amazon Keyspaces. Hence, if you do not know what this service is all about, please refer to this overview tutorial that I had created some time back. URL to the tutorial is mentioned right here at the bottom. Reference URLs. These two URLs can be very helpful. The first one gives an overview of what point-in-time recovery feature is all about. And the second one talks about restoring a Keyspace table to a point in time. In fact, I have both of these URLs opened here right with me. So this is the first URL that talks about point-in-time recovery for Amazon Keyspaces as a brief overview. And right here is restoring an Amazon Keyspaces table to a point in time using console, CLI, and CQL. Scenario for our lab today. You have been asked to find a solution to protect your Amazon Keyspace table from accidental writes or deletion. Let's say even if your table gets deleted, then you should be able to restore it to a state before deletion. So your scenario is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. You need to protect your Amazon Keyspace table. You need to protect your data from any accidental writes or deletion. And let's say even if it gets deleted, you should be able to restore it back to a state right before it was deleted. So let's see how we can accomplish this. Now, for this particular hands-on lab, I'm going to touch base on these 4 key points for point-in-time recovery, right? And I kind of felt that this is very important. So the first thing that we need to keep in mind is that point-in-time recovery, or PITR, helps you to protect your tables from accidental writes or delete operations, right? And how does it do that? It does that by providing continuous backup of your table data. So this feature can be, let's say, the answer to the problem that you're facing. But again, this is all theoretical now. We have to see if it practically works or not. And if it does, then how does it work? Second point, PTR enables you to restore your table's data to any second in time, right? Since PITR was enabled within the last 35 days. So again, PITR is a very strong feature. It helps you to restore your table's data to any second in time. So you could say 5 p.m., 35 minutes and 45 seconds or something like that, right? And this is since PITR was enabled within the last 35 days. Let's say if you delete a table with point-in-time recovery enabled, you can still query the deleted tables data for 35 days at no extra cost, right? And most importantly, you can restore it to the state it was just before the point of deletion. Now, this is the answer to the second part of the scenario. That means you should be able to restore the data right to the state where just before deletion. Now, the fourth point over here, all of these point-in-time operations have no performance or availability impact on the base table. And restoring a table doesn't consume any additional throughput whatsoever. So I hope that this overview kind of, uh, gave you a deeper understanding into how PITR works. And now you can probably confidently, go ahead with the hands-on lab. So let us get started. The first thing that you need to do is you need to provide access to Keyspaces, right? So ensure that your user has access to Amazon Keyspaces service, and you can do that by adding policy to an existing policy, right? That you can add to your user. And normally I do demo this, but for today's hands-on lab, I'm not going to demo this. I think I've demoed this multiple number of times. You can go and look at the other hands-on labs on Keyspaces on my channel as well, where I've actually demoed how to go about doing this. So I'm going to go ahead with step 2. In step 2, what we are going to do is we are going to create a key space. Now, there are two ways to do that. One is using the Amazon Keyspaces console, and the other one is using the CQL editor. So what we are going to do is we will basically use the CQL editor, but at the same time, you can use the console as well. So let me actually go back to Amazon Keyspaces. This is Amazon Keyspaces. This is my CQL editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and copy this from right here, right? So this is pretty straightforward, guys. I mean, if you don't want to kind of execute a particular statement, just go to your console and create it. So copy, right? Paste it right there. Ensure that it does not have any special characters or anything of that sort, right? And I think we should be good to go. So let's try and execute this command. And our key space was created successfully. So click on Keyspaces, and that's where our key space has been created. Now I have used this particular name. You can use any name of your choice that you like, right? So we have basically completed step 2. If you want, you can verify that your key space was created using this command from CQL as well. But I just verified using the console. In step 3, we will create a table. Again, you can create the table using the console, or you can simply execute this CQL command. Now I'm creating a simple employees table over here, right? And it has 4 columns. You can create a table of your choice. It really doesn't matter. The intention is to just have or create a table. If you're having an existing table that you would like to use where PITR is not enabled, you are free to do that as well. But I just wanted to showcase how to create a table. So again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to copy my create statement, right? And go back to my CQL editor, paste it right here. So I hope everything looks it's good. And then let us try and execute this particular run command. So it seems our table was created successfully. So let's see if our table was created successfully. It's still creating it, right? And point in time recovery is disabled, which is what we wanted. And it will take a few minutes for this table to get created. There it is. It's in active status. So click on the table. Point in time recovery is disabled, as you see. And we have all of our 4 columns over here with our clustering column and our partition key, which is ID. So we have basically completed step 3, and we verified that the table was created using the console. In step 4, we are going to enable PITR, right? So how do you go about doing this? So we are going to go to Keyspaces, we are going to go to our table, and we are going to go to backups. We will click on edit and then check enable point in time recovery or PITR. And then click on save changes. So let us do that. So this is our key space right here. This table, this is our table as well. So click on this particular table, click on backups, click on edit. And this is that particular checkbox that I was talking about. So check enable point in time recovery and click on save changes. So if you see what it does is it basically alters the table and enables point-in-time recovery for you. So if you see, that's mentioned right here, right? So let's click on Save Changes, and let's wait for it to become active. So let's see if it's become active or not. Okay, there it is. So point-in-time recovery is now enabled. And when was that? So if you see, my clock is right here. It's Monday, 26th of September, 2022, and it is somewhere around 8:02 p.m. over here in the night, right? So remember this time, because when we are doing our restorations, etc., you will need some of these times, right? So this is when PITR was enabled. I'm just making a note over here for myself. Okay. So we have basically completed step 4. Step 5. In step 5, we are going to insert and read some data to this particular table, right? So what this is the insert statement. Again, just insert multiple rows, right? You just need about 3 or 4 records. So just create those records and then run the select statement to ensure that those records have been inserted successfully. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and copy my insert statement. It's a pretty simple and straightforward insert statement that you would typically have. And let's go to my SQL editor, paste it right here. Right, so this is my insert into my key space name, my table name, the column names, values, and the actual values for each one of these columns. So I'm going to click on run command, and it seems our row was inserted successfully. I'm going to make some more changes to the data, right, and probably change the name, I guess. Put it John, and we will say he has 9.5 hours of vacation hours, and we'll put him in labs or something like that. Run. Let's see if it got inserted. Yes, it did. Now we are going to say Jeff. He has 19.5 hours, and I'm going to change his ID to something else. And I'm going to say this. So I've changed a couple of columns and values over there. So again, run the command. So I believe we have inserted 3 records into this particular table. And I'm just going to copy this insert statement over here, right? Now let us go back. The easiest way for you to query a table is to go to the table right there, right? And then click on this query table. So it will actually type the select statement for you, or basically generate the select statement for you, right? And then click on run command. And if you scroll down, we should be able to see all the 3 records that we just inserted. So we basically completed step 5, that is to insert the data and then eventually to read or select that particular data that we just inserted. Step 6. Now in this step, we will learn how to restore a table. So let's assume that you accidentally wrote something in your table, and maybe there are multiple writes. Let's just assume that way. And now you want to basically revert the state of your table to what it was sometime back, right? Or something like that. You you basically ran into a situation where now you don't know what to do. And if at all you could only go back to the original form of your table, that's what's going to help you and your project. And the only option for you to do that with Keyspaces is basically restore the table to an earlier state. So that's what we are going to try and attempt to do here. We're going to restore the table. And how you go about doing that, right? So we will be doing first using the console. So you go to Keyspaces, you go to your table, you go to backups, and this time you go to restore, then give a name, and then select a date and time for restoration. Now, remember that restoration is a time consuming process, right? And it's impacted by multiple factors, including the amount of data you have in your table. After your table is restored, that your new table is restored. Let's just put it that way, right? You'll be giving a new name to that table. Check the settings. Sometimes you need to reapply some of the configuration settings. It will actually even give you a message that you need to reapply some of the configuration settings, or the config, or this particular table is not configured. So if you get those error messages, just go back, revisit the settings, just check the settings are there, and then save the settings if you make any changes. Okay, so let us try and restore this particular table. So again, go to tables. This is your table, right? And we'll go to backups. We'll go to restore. And here we will give restore one is the name of our table. Now, remember when we enabled PITR was 8:02 p.m. and it's basically even telling me that it was 8:02 p.m. and 11 seconds, right? So that's the time it is giving me. But I can also specify a date and time. So let's say right now it is 8:08, because after the PITR was enabled, I did insert 3 records inside. And let's assume that that is going to be my stable state that I want to go back to. So I'm going to specify a date and time over here and check if it can restore back to that particular state. Other thing that I want to draw your attention to is this particular line right here. It's basically any date and time after September 26, 2022, 8:02:11, right? And this is when you had enabled your PITR. So let us select today's date, and I'm going to give the current time, which is 8:08. So that is 20:08:00. I'm giving in the 24-hour format, right? And it is, of course, going to take some time. So be patient. This is the query that is going to execute. And then let's click on restore. So once this restore one is done, remember that it is going to have all those 3 records that we inserted after PITR was enabled. So click on restore. And it is restoring this particular table. Now you should be able to see restore one right here. So I'm going to make a note that we had restore one, right? This was console before before any accidental writes, and should have 3 records inserted, 3 records after PITR was enabled. Okay, so this is our restore one. And this is typically how you go about restoring, let's say if you have some accidental writes or something like that. So we have basically completed step 6. And this restoration is going to take some time. You will see that, right? And if we get any error messages or anything, we will again go back and check the configuration settings once our table is up and running. Now delete the table. Now let's say like, I'm talking with you and I was goofing around and a lot of things and accidentally happened to delete this particular table. Then what will happen? So if you accidentally happen to delete this table for whatsoever reason, you can still go and restore this particular table. So let's just select this and then click on delete and then say delete. Now I'm just simulating an accidental deletion. This can very well happen, right, as well. And let us click on delete table. Okay, so it seems our table is being deleted. There it is. And the other table is still getting restored. Our table has been deleted. Now what am I supposed to do, right? So here we have completed step 7. Now what? If your table has been deleted, and this should be step 8 actually. Sorry about that. Can we still restore our table? Remember that was part of our original problem statement that even if our table is deleted, we should be able to restore the deleted table to that point in time right before deletion. Now, is that even possible? So the two ways to do that, one is using a CLI and the other one is using CQL. Now, this is a particular command that you will execute using CLI. You can also use Cloud Shell. And this is the command to do that using CQL. So let me try the CLI first, right? So I am just going to copy this particular command, right? Paste it right here in Notepad, right? So basically what this command has is Amazon Keyspaces restore table. You need to give the source keyspace name, your source table name, your target keyspace name, and your target table name. And I'm going to say the target table name is restore to. Right, so this is our target table name. Just want to ensure that there are no special characters or anything, and copy this particular command, right? Now, while this is being restored, it is still restoring. Yes, it is. Let's go to Cloud Shell. So click on this particular icon of Cloud Shell right there. And it should open up Cloud Shell in some time. It's right there. And then paste this command. Right? And this is our command. And we are going to execute this command by hitting enter. So our command was executed successfully. It's giving us the ARN, right, for the restore table. That is restore to. Now, if I go back to the console and go back to Keyspaces and go back to our tables, we should be able to see restore to. Right, so this is restore to that is being restored right now. The other way of restoring is using CQL. Right, so we finished this part. This is using CQL. And this is the command to do that. So let us see if we can execute that particular command. So this is the command for that, restore table. Again, I'm going to go back to Amazon Keyspaces, go to my CQL editor, paste it right here, right? And this is my original table name. And this is the name that I want the new table to have. So I'm going to say restore 3, right? And everything looks good. So let's click on run command. And it seems our command got executed successfully. So let's click on tables. And we have all the 3 tables over here. So all 3 tables are here, right? And they have been in the restore state. Okay, one has just become active, so we are lucky. So let us check if our restore 1 is restored correctly and it has all the 3 records that we expect it to have. So go to restore 1, right? And click on query table. This is the query, run command. And these are all the 3 records that we had as part of our original table before we did any accidental writes, right? And now we have restore 2 and restore 3. Restore 2 was from the Cloud Shell and restore 3 was using CQL. Now both of these should also have those 3 records if our restore was done successfully. So I'm going to give it some more time, right, for it to complete restoration and then restart recording. So I'll see you back in a bit. Both restore 2 and restore 3 are now active. So now let us go ahead and check if our data has been restored correctly. So restore 2 was restored using the Cloud Shell or CLI, and restore 3 was done using the SQL editor. So restore 2 right there, click on query table, run, and let's see if we can see our 3 records. Perfect. So remember that this restore 2 the restoration of this data was done after the table was deleted using Cloud Shell, right? So even after the table is deleted, you can still restore its data. And then if we go and look at restore 3, again, restore 3 was restored using SQL editor after the table was deleted. So click on run command, and let's see if our 3 records are there. There they are. So this is how point-in-time feature for a point-in-time recovery feature for Keyspaces works. Hopefully this particular lab was helpful. Do post your comments. Do try it out. But remember to release all resources after you finish practicing or exploring this particular service. Otherwise, you can have significant charges coming your way. So this is it from me today, and I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.